Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Marketing Pack Leaders, where we unpack how product marketing, positioning, and go to market strategy drive real revenue impact. I'm your host, Josh Porter, founder of Thunderwolf Consulting, where help AI scale ups turn complex products into clear, differentiated stories that sales teams can actually execute. And today's guest fits perfectly into that mission. Today, I'm joined by Mark Stern, a product marketing and go to market leader with deep experience helping B2B technology companies sharpen positioning and accelerate revenue growth. Mark has led product marketing and strategy initiatives across high growth startups and well established enterprises, specializing in messaging, complex competitive strategy, and sales enablement. He's known for translating complex products into clear, differentiated narratives that align product, marketing, and sales around measurable impact. Mark, welcome to the show.
Thrilled to be. It's good seeing you again, Josh. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And we're excited to talk a little bit about how you've taken this experience to market physical products with your experience now and translating how that would work for AI founders and what strategies can help them differentiate their companies.
Yeah. It's such a fun playground for me right now to play with physical products because right now in this age of AI that we're seeing, you're seeing with the rise of AI also this rise of digital distrust. That the stuff that you're seeing online, you're looking at it saying, is it real? And one of the trends and where our bet is in the market is that as AI continues to grow and skyrocket, the relevance of analog offline, how life was before pre-internet, is just going to get more and more relevant. And part of it is there's power when I can send you something physical in the mail,
Yes.
and it's designed to enable what you're doing virtually, digitally. How do I send you all the tools and resources you need out of the gate? How do I create a very clear defined journey or experience that takes something physical and takes the digital to the next level? And there's so much just packed in a physical product that you can't just forget about, which is I want to create something that takes up real estate in your house to keep me top of mind, that has the repeatability factor, but only takes that virtual or digital experience to the next level. So it's really about how we're starting to think about the two worlds coming together.
Absolutely. And I love that. You having experience with both B2B SaaS and then also using these physical products to do marketing for these types of companies where everything is digital. This definitely helps to stand out to your point. So excited to
Yeah,
dive deep into this.
me too.
All right. So, first question is, how does the physical product experience, like custom packaging, change the way positioning translates into perceived value?
Yeah, great question. I mean, there's so much to unpack with just this one question alone. When you think about product, people don't realize that there's a lot of strategy in product as well. And one of the things that we're looking at when we start to build out a physical product is this idea of intentionality. How can we become more intentional with the experiences that we create to drive a certain outcome? Intentionality can be engineered in a way of just looking at what do you naturally save in your life? If I know you naturally save something in your life, then I can reimagine something else for a business case to mimic that. And what I mean by that is I know that consumer behavior is when you read a book, you put it on a bookshelf. So it only makes sense for us that our most common style box experience we'll create for a client is like the shape of a book. We can
Yeah.
turn the spine. There's so much magic in here because as a business owner, I may say that this is box one of three. Therefore, just with simple packaging design, create an open loop that if you want to collect all the pieces, you have to keep playing the game. You have to hit the next milestone to get the next piece. You have to stay on, if it's a subscription service, a certain number of months before you get the next piece of the equation. So there's
Yeah.
so much things then there, and that's getting to the spirit of collection. Collection's another thing. If the inherent nature of collecting something, if I'm trying to collect all the pieces, I'm going to save it. There's a way that we can engineer how we design the packaging that complements the behavior of what people are naturally doing. And so there's all these categories that we start to look at. That is, how do I start to engineer intentionality with a certain outcome, with how we start to think about the actual packaging, the packaging design for the experience itself. So that's just part of looking at it to say there's strategy that's built into design that's really powerful as an enabler. And when you start leaning on this idea of things that people save, then I can start engineering intentionality in a very different way.
Totally. So when you are a AI company trying to do your marketing with lots of digital methods or maybe in-person methods, of course, as well with events, but having something that a person has in their home
Yeah.
definitely changes because it's an ever-present type of marketing. So giving that definitely stands out. Something like that can absolutely help you in terms of your own go-to-market, even as a software company.
Yeah, and we look at everything through one of three lenses. Like all the campaigns we build out, it's all defined on where it would enter the equation in the customer life cycle. So three phases: you acquire, so this is how customers discover you to buying your products and services. That's a certain stage of how I can design a physical product. The next stage is how you onboard and deliver. Now that we've acquired them, how are you onboarding them and getting them the outcome as to why they purchase your products or services in the first place? And then it's retention. That's all about extending lifetime value. Awards and recognition are a big part of that. The next service that you may introduce is part of that. So where you are throughout that process, if you're an AI enabled company or AI driven company, if your goal is acquisition, onboarding, and delivery, those are three different experiences in terms of how we would start to look and engineer the experience for the individuals. But there's just so much that you can do. And it could be one of all three. We've had clients that started saying we wanted to do something to create a better onboarding experience. And then we
Mhm.
looked at and said, how do we optimize acquisition and create a product that can help people become a little bit more problem aware and that you're the solution to their problem with how we introduce an acquisition type of product on the front end of your business. So a lot of different angles we can play with.
Yeah, that's great. That's good. Yeah, that kind of diversified way of creating experiences for some of your prospects. So that's great. That's
Yeah.
awesome. All right, next question is you worked across tangible products and tech. What have you learned about aligning positioning with sales, execution, and business that sell physical products versus SaaS?
Yeah. And a lot of these physical products may enable the SaaS. This product right here that I'm holding up from, I just happened to grab this one, Credit Repair Cloud. Credit Repair Cloud is a SaaS platform, is what their core business is. A lot of what they were looking to on the front end is how do I minimize people when they do the free trial at the beginning? How do I get them through the free trial so they're getting through the first month? And then they know that if they start utilizing the platform, the likelihood of them staying increases significantly. So a lot of what we did was how do we engineer an experience that guides them through how to get set up in the system the first 30 days so they can start utilizing the SaaS platform. Their platform helps people launch their own credit repair business using their software, and that's what they want to do is get as many people utilizing it, because once they start helping other people repair their credit, it starts to grow the business pretty significantly. That's what we looked for. We gamified the first 30 days. We want to
Hmm.
get them through the trials so they are mastering and utilizing the program. And how we gamified it was just we took the first 4 weeks, week 1, 2, 3, and 4. And as they went through that first month, they earned the right to open. We had envelopes and a game board that, when I say envelopes and a game board and talk about gamification, it's about keeping the experience on brand for your brand. People may not even realize they're entering a gamified type of experience, something that feels like gaming tactics in it, but it just feels like a really well orchestrated experience. It's just guiding you step by step through a defined journey. And the goal of this product is, again, just getting them to use the platform in the first 30 days and then showing them how to use it and then starting to get them clients in the system. So, just with a product like that, that is an experience that we can engineer with something physical, giving them the tools, resources that they need that enables what they're trying to achieve digitally as well. So that's kind of where these two worlds can come together really brilliantly.
Awesome. So you're able to kind of give them something digital, but also something physical that connect with each other. That way, there's two. It's just an additional channel to promote yourself and promote your business.
That's it. And, a lot of what we're looking at with when it comes to sales enablement is the touch points that you have. Because, I read a statistic that someone said that if you nurture a relationship over 60 days versus going in for that hard, fast close within a couple of days, the nurturing them over a period of time, you'll see about a 10x ROI or
Hmm.
10x lifetime value since you've established more of a relationship. When I think about physical products enabling the sales process, a lot of what I think about is how do I create value up front to show you and tease you if this is what it's like working with me before you've given me any money? or started hiring us for our services, what's it going to be like when I start working with you? And that's
Yeah.
exactly what we've done with this product here. This is 57 Hats. It was a simple tool with the goal being we are rolling out a staffing agency and how to grow the staffing agency and bring awareness. Well, if you're looking to hire talent, um, there's a lot of different ways you can go online, finding headhunters, different businesses, but how do we stand out differently? Well, one of the things we wanted to do is, can we create a product that made people aware of, in this product, it's how many hats are you wearing? We have leveraged this as a free entry product, just pay shipping. And it's all about, like, if you go through the exercise and realize how many different hats you're wearing in your business. And we did that through a series of cards that represent the most common roles that a business experiences, especially as they start to grow. If you go through and start pulling out all the hats that you're wearing, and then I give you supporting tools and resources on how to take these hats off, then the next question could be, well, could you help us staff these roles for our business? And then we can take them deeper into our sales pipeline and the conversations of ways that we can support them. We're just leveraging a physical product to be a point of differentiation through the sales process and to nurture and provide value up front before they are just jumping into spending thousands of dollars headhunting.
Yeah, I like that. And for those that are just listening and not seeing this visually, Mark has this kind of box of cards this for this 57 hats. And it's interesting. It actually reminds me a little bit of, on a personal note, my my wife and I have read this book called Fair Play, where it talks a little bit about getting establishing all the hats you wear in a marriage with
Yeah.
kids. And to accompany the book are cards that are very much like what you're talking about with 57 hats. It actually has each task, each responsibility on a physical card. And then you kind of like dole out so you can physically see, who's taking what responsibilities. And I'm not going to get into whose pile is larger or not at this point, but it's the same idea. Like, you could say that this idea that you're sharing with this 57 hats, it could be very similar for a lot of other companies, but having something physical, it changes your perspective on it and gives you more. I obviously, I'm still thinking about that particular brand in that book because of those cards. Same way it can work for these companies.
Can I respond to that? Because that was such a great example.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
what's so cool about something like creating a physical product. And I'm such a fan of leveraging card decks. And when I say card decks, it's just how you're leveraging a deck of cards strategically in your business. We just acquired carddecks.com because we built out so many different styles of business card decks. They're cheap and they provide such immense value, and you can add a QR code to every single card that brings them back to an online experience. It could be AI enabled in a really powerful way that just takes the learning and the modality to the next level. But what's been so rewarding about like launching a product like 57 Hats, we designed this product thinking that it would be a self-diagnosis tool for like CEOs or executives of businesses to understand how many hats they're wearing, by just going through the exercise inside the box set. What we didn't expect is that people started using it with their teams. And then they
Mm,
started using it as a sales enablement tool, a simple physical product that they're sitting down with the prospect going, let me take you through this exercise that takes less than 15 minutes. We'll figure out how many hats you're wearing in your business. And oh, by the way, if you hire us, we'll replace all these hats. And they hold up the cards of all the different roles that they would replace within their business, which is incredibly profound. So it's the cool thing about a physical product that I didn't see when we were just focused on building digital products is the different use cases that the market started coming up with, which
mhm.
then helps us strengthen our messaging and positioning because we're starting to watch how people are utilizing them. Like, we've seen entrepreneurial classes start to test this out as just a different tool to get people thinking about the roles in a business. But never in a million years did I think that all these new use cases would start to emerge. And that's what's cool about getting a physical product out into someone's hands, is just learning how they may explore new terrain that you weren't even considering.
Yes, absolutely. It gets more mind share in ways that you
Yeah.
probably weren't thinking about in the future. Thinking about. So awesome, very cool. Um, Also, side note, when it comes to cards, I'm a big kind of a Magic the Gathering
Are you?
game player. Oh yeah, I love trading card games. And so it's fun because you could take something that I do on my personal time for fun and kind of bring it into a more of a business setting, that always I think can be a winner. So
It's so fascinating, and I would even tell you, I went and did a Spartan race in Hawaii. It was like my goal for my 40th was to do a half marathon race in Hawaii, and I just
nice.
happened to be there the weekend of the international Pokemon tournament. That
Yes.
everyone was
Yes.
there with their card sets, and it was just the best people watching. They were the nicest people. You would find the middle-aged men in their 40s, or they're
Yes.
like very overweight, that's like their, it was just like just the different profiles and personality types, and it was amazing to sit there and talk with them. But all of that was an experience that was built around a card game.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Or you'll have maybe some of those aren't even players. Maybe they're the term is pokey dads.
Pokey
They have a lot
dads.
of I'm trying to get my 8-year-old son into Pokemon cards as well. So
Oh, there's
yeah,
big money
that's
in it too, like
oh yeah, absolutely.
big
It's very
money.
expensive.
It's
It's very
crazy.
expensive. So
Yeah.
interesting. All right, cool. Um, well, next question is about customization. That's something that's super powerful, but can also muddy some of the clarity you're trying to portray. How do you prevent positioning from becoming abstract when the product is highly customizable?
Yeah, and so first of all, I'll say is that no two boxes are alike. This isn't a cookie cutter approach. So when we think of customization, truly the product is customized to you. I worked at Deloitte Consulting for many years. I came up in corporate America, got my MBA from Duke, and so how we approach things, it's very strategic in terms of thinking through what is the business challenge and problem, understanding the client's business, and then
Mhm.
starting to bring to life an experience that's designed for a specific objective. So your question around how do we prevent it? And I don't want to. I want to make sure I'm understanding the phrasing right. What, are you saying like how to make it not convoluted in the marketplace,
Yes,
not mundane in the marketplace?
correct. Yes.
Here's the thing: in this age of AI, everyone is betting so heavy on digital. And when we talk about this idea of experience, experience is seen through the sense of sight, sound, touch, taste, smell. When you're navigating a digital only product, you're really tapping into only what you see and what you hear.
Mm.
And what I
Yep.
mean by that is you're listening to a podcast, it's only what you hear. You're watching a YouTube video, it's what you see and hear. You're scrolling through Facebook and Instagram, it's what you see. And so, this idea of tapping into the other touch points that people tend to not do. What people think is that, oh, digital is so much cheaper. But the reality is, when you start factoring in how to run a campaign, it can add up and be really expensive. A physical product relative to what you'd be paying on paid traffic really isn't that different. We have physical products that easily get produced for under $5. We have physical products that get produced for $15 to $30. We have physical products that get a lot more expensive than that. But at the end of the day, if this is a point of differentiation that your competitors are not doing because they're not tapping into physical, they're only tapping into digital. If you're going to go head to head with someone who is a comparable product and the key difference that you had was something physical to send them that put them on a journey, I would bet that you'd win every day of the week,
Yeah.
assuming that you're going head to head to a comparable product because you're offering something that not only that, the likelihood of someone opening an email that they receive, email open rates are incredibly low relative to getting something physical in the mail. When you get a
Mm.
package in the mail, chances are you're going to open it. When you send a
Totally.
package to an executive, sometimes that package bypasses the EA or whoever their admin is working the front desk and goes straight to the executive's desk because it's a
Mhm.
personal gift to them.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so there's a lot of different ways that you can look into it. And so when I think about whether it's an acquisition strategy, trying to get attention of that dream client that you want to have, or part of that delivery experience, it's a point of differentiation that so many people aren't tapping into.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like how you said that. It's when it can go straight to an executive if you're sending some type of package, and that can be really distinguishing for sure. And so I think that's a great way to kind of think about how you're you're standing out, you're you're also staying away from all the blur of some of these other uh what are mostly digital, visual, and maybe audible experiences. So having the ability to do that absolutely
Yeah.
gets your foot in the door for a lot more than some other options.
Or just ask yourself the question, when was the last time you received a box in the mail and you decided not to open it?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
it's today I got a big old box outside my door and I was like, what did I order? Because I didn't know. And then I was excited because it was It was a lot of bootylicious muffin, 25 grams of protein cups that I apparently ordered 36 of. But I was just as excited to see this massive box. I don't know why I ordered it other than the fact it had protein in it.
Yes.
But it
Well,
seemed like a good idea at the time.
muffins and protein. That sounds like a good option.
Oh my gosh, especially when I'm trying to stay away from sweets, it helps.
Yes.
It makes me feel like I'm doing something semi right.
Hopefully there's zero sugar. So anyway, well, okay, great. Awesome. Next question is we need to really talk about how is this actually going to drive revenue?
Great.
What signals tell you that your positioning is driving revenue impact, not just brand awareness?
Yeah, it's a good question. It depends on what part of the life cycle you're at. If it's looking at it in the acquisition front, I mean, part of what you're looking at is your conversion rates on the acquisition, leveraging the physical product. And if you're looking at on onboarding and delivery, to me, it's completion rates. How soon are people doing it? It's getting people through trials. I mean, these are all baseline measures that we do because at the end of the day, if you receive, like if this is part of here, I'm holding up a box. But for those who are listening, like this was a box that we created to help the onboarding process for a lawyer. I mean, part of what we would look at is when they received the box, are they adhering to the step-by-step guidelines to make sure that they can get the maximum settlement for someone who's in the personal injury space? And
Mm,
so you could quickly see in the process, where do they get stuck? Where are they broken down? Because if you see these things that people get hung up at a certain point in your process because you've defined a clear journey that they're going through, that's an opportunity for you to lean in and say maybe something's confusing in terms of how we're delivering. People keep getting stuck at the same thing, but you could start to see the trends of where people are starting to fall apart within your process. So you can optimize that part and reinforce it to keep people moving forward. So there's a lot of things on the retention rate. We're looking at lifetime value before the campaign and after the campaign. How much was the standard lifetime value of a customer? And then when we introduce this in a campaign, what are the numbers looking like at this point? You're focused on sales enablement with like a lot of the questions that you're asking. So a lot of them I'm looking at is how is this a tool that is helping enabling whoever your sales team is or your
yeah.
SDRs are who are out there building the relationship. So I want to see if we leverage this, part of it could be, is this part of the process if we engineered the campaign that we may send a physical product to get the attention of an executive? Or is this going to be later on in that sales process where we get on a phone call and if they didn't close on the phone call, then say, hey, I want to send you something in the mail and let it be an experience that may take you anytime it's on acquisition front. If you design an experience that requires their attention, I want it to be in general 30 minutes or less. You can consume it in one sitting. You can have the experience in one sitting so they can get through it and be ready for the next thing. And so there's just a lot of different angles that you could leverage on the sales enablement side on how you leverage physical products. And if you're thinking, oh, it's going to get expensive, sending a box out at the end of the day, I mean, you're looking at, depending on what you're doing, $5 to $30 plus shipping, which could be anywhere from 10 to 15. But if it's about closing that, $1,000, $10,000, $50,000, $100,000 deal,
Yeah.
a lot of when we look at launching a campaign, even for our own business out in market, I may look at this and say, this campaign may cost me somewhere between $10,000 and $20,000, but if I can recoup this investment with one client, is it worth pursuing this campaign to send out these experiences to hundreds, if not thousands of people? And the answer is I would do it every day of the week if all it took was one client to recoup the investment, to have a key point of differentiator that stands out in a really powerful way. I wouldn't think twice about it because, to me, it's worth testing to see the impact. And I have yet to produce a campaign that hasn't quickly turned into a profitable effort for us.
Yeah, and that math makes sense. Is if you're able to pay for it for one client, then yeah, certainly. At first, it might seem like a big expense, but you have to look at it in context. And so I think that's a great way to think about it. I also think that this, as you mentioned, we're talking more about sales enablement too. This is great for account-based marketing when you're really doing an ABM campaign focused on a select few accounts. You're creating specific custom emails, websites, case studies for a customer, for a prospect. And then on top of that, you're doing something physical that you're sending them, like or we're talking about here. That just makes the experience so much deeper and stands out to those prospects that you're trying to reach out to in an account-based marketing campaign. So I think there's a lot of benefit here for that.
And how you started to define that, I actually think this is a really key point of differentiation. When we talk about physical products, what I don't want people to be thinking about is swag boxes. We joke and say
Mhm.
that swag means stuff without a goal. We're not saying you get off a call and say, hey, I'm going to send you this mug and this t-shirt, you're not ready to close. No, that doesn't help the sales process. You're just sending them a bunch of stuff with your
Uh-huh.
logo on it. And
Yes.
it drives me nuts because if I get another tumbler in the mail or koozie or anything that has your logo on it, that is not what we're talking about here. We're talking about creating a specialized product. So part of it can be as simple as every business owner has frameworks, methodologies, ways that they deliver business that I can extract a piece of value out of you, build a whole physical product around it, and then give it to, let it be an extension of your genius. And I want it to, on the acquisition side, be just like almost a hint or a kiss of, if this is what it's like before you really have delved into working with us, then I wonder what it's going to be like the second I hire you. And so that's
Mm.
what I'm thinking about when we think about these experiences. Again, 57 hats. This was a product that literally was just answering the question in my own business as we started to grow and we went from 5 to 10 to 20 plus people. It fundamentally changed the culture of our business. And I was constantly pulling hats off my team. And they actually went through this mourning phase saying, um, do you not value me anymore? Why are you taking responsibility? And I'm like, no, I'm not. I hired you for this certain role. When we're smaller, you were wearing a lot more hats. And now I just want you to stay in your zone of genius. And when they got that, it completely transformed my business. And turning that one little thing into a physical product as a front end was incredibly powerful to see when you roll it out, that other people had a similar concern or issue or did not have words for all the hats that they were wearing because they didn't know that they were roles. We just had a physical product help bring awareness to it. But again, you can go through this experience of 57 hats in less than 15 minutes to diagnose all the hats you're wearing. And if that's all it takes and you can do it in one sitting, I'm priming you at that point of acquisition to say, okay, what's next? Or can you help me here? I'm opening
Mm.
up the conversation that allows me to have a bit of a diagnosis. And what are we going to do with this? Of course, we're flipping this into a digital product. How do we make this into an enablement tool for headhunters, HRs, internal recruiters, and how they can use this as a product to support their efforts? So now it's not only a product that we built, but how does it become an enabling tool for other people? And that's where you start to extend the power of a physical product to a digital experience.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think these are really good principles of ways to stand out, specifically with the physical product. So I think any AI scale up that's trying to really really get favor with some of their prospects, I think this is a great way to be able to kind of help them stand out. So Mark, this has been super great. Really appreciate these insights on how to kind of stand out in your go to market strategy with physical products.
Amazing.
So now we're going to go on to the rapid fire round of our show and ask you a few questions that I ask all of our guests, and love to hear the different answers. And some of them are the same, some of them are different, but we'll love to hear your particular take on these. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
All right. First question is favorite marketing tool.
Oh, lately, what I've been nerding out to is Replit. So there's all different
Ah,
types of vibe coders and pieces like this.
yes.
All of a sudden, to see software get commoditized, blowing my mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Replit, just having that vibe coding capability is
Yeah,
opening up lots of doors, especially for those of us that aren't coders. So
yeah,
it's really nice to kind of see that really give people ability they didn't have before. So
it's insane.
all right, next question is what's the most underrated skill in product marketing?
Underrated skill in product marketing. Okay, I'm gonna try and this is. I'm going to say it this way. The amount of times that when I ask a client to explain to me how they do it versus how they teach it, it's not aligned. And
Mm,
so if there's something that you're doing in your business and you want to teach other people how to do it as a service, like stop over engineering it in a way that it just disconnects from like what actually makes sense. Teach people the way you do it. And
Yeah.
so like this is I like is the core principle here is simplicity is the skill. But I see people overcomplicate, and I'm looking at them going, "Is this how you do it?" And I'm like, they're like, "No, I do it this way." And I'm like, if I'm building a product, we're going to build it the way you do it, because when you are in front of people, presenting at a seminar, on stage, how you do it is going to be second nature for you to teach versus how you think you should teach it to make more sense to your audience.
Mm.
So this concept of simplicity, I cannot stress enough, even in product development, is that when you over engineer these experiences, I'm going to feel like you need to clear out my afternoon so I like can read the instructions on how to get started. So I'm going to go with
Yes.
simplicity.
Yeah, I think that's definitely that's a good tip, just to be able to, again, understanding your audience as marketing, as a marketing basic. You might have all this amazing, fantastical knowledge about your product, but if you're overwhelming the people that you're talking to, then it's not going to land. And the whole idea for you to communicate to them is so that they get it and understand it in their terms. So I think I really like your point about being able to just simplify it enough so that they can understand it the way that they can understand it.
Yeah.
All right. What's one thing you wished you knew when you started?
Oh my goodness. Okay. I was deep in corporate America for years, up till 2018. So my entire professional career, I'm in my 40s now, was in corporate America. When I left, I always considered myself a high performer in corporate America. So I just assumed when I left and jumped in the deep end for entrepreneurship, that I'd be a high performer there too. And the lesson that I learned that I did not know is that corporate versus entrepreneurship is like checkers versus chess. The game board is the same. It looks like you're playing the same game on the same game board. The rules are completely different. So I was playing checkers with chess rules, and
Hmm.
as a result, I was falling on my face. And so when I hear people say, you push the reset button, you never push the reset button ever. I had to learn how to play the new game. I needed to
Yeah.
learn to play the game of entrepreneurship. And what was my competitive edge? All the experience I had that got me up to that point in life. So all the strategy, all the corporate consulting, all the things that I had learned and experienced were my competitive edge in this new game, but I had to learn to play the new game. And that was a lesson that it took me a long time to learn. And I was getting frustrated and I was beating myself up. But I'm so glad I was like, stop, learn to play the new game, and then layer on your experience. And that helped me get my feeding in front of me.
Yeah. No, I like that. That's a great story about the transition, because I think a lot of people are making that transition now. Some of the founders that are listening to this are making that transition themselves.
Yeah.
Been in corporate for many years, then decided to try their own thing. And yeah, you're right. You want to be able to make use of the skills that you learned in corporate, but you also do have to recognize this is a different game board to be playing on.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great perspective.
Yeah.
All right. Last question. Favorite podcast?
Oh, this is a good one. I need to do a better job listening to podcasts, but I love the Tim Ferriss show and I love Dr. Benjamin Hardy show. Two people that I
Mm.
think that they have provided a lot of value at different milestones in my life. And so I respect, kind of the world and the empires that they've built and the pathways that they've created for other people as a result of their work.
Mm. I know Tim Ferriss, Benjamin Hardy, haven't heard.
Benjamin Hardy, one of my favorite books of all time, Who Not How.
Oh,
He also
okay.
wrote the
Yes.
book 10x is easier than 2x, which I think was his
Yes.
latest release that a lot of people nerd out. I like 10x is easier than 2x, but I came from that world when I was in corporate America, because Peter Diamandis would talk about you want 100x your business as opposed to 10x, as opposed to
Hmm.
2x. But his book, Who Not How, which is just asking the question, stop asking, how do I do this? Start asking the question, who's the person? It was very freeing to me, and it was very obvious of the concept. But again, sometimes that simple message and just really creating the story arc around it is some of the most profound. And so that's why I'm a fan of his.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. That's
Yeah.
great. All right, Mark. Well, this is a fantastic conversation. Thanks for talking a little bit about how you bring positioning and using physical products to market a digital product and really differentiate yourself with it. Thanks for sharing your insights and your experience.
Yeah, Josh, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right. And to everyone listening, this has been another episode of Marketing Pack Leaders, where we explore how modern product marketers and go to market leaders build differentiation that actually converts. You can find this episode on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. I'm Josh Porter from Thunderwolf Consulting. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.